Hi, welcome back to another Insider. This week we're going to talk about building a glossary. I have mentioned glossaries before, it's also part of my course, but today I'm going to talk about a very specific issue that came to me a few weeks ago. There is when you cannot use certain software like Access to build your glossary and you have to do it manually. So let's do it, let's get onto it, and let's talk about building our glossary manually. Come with me. So let's build our glossaries. As you know, building a glossary or having a glossary, a good one, it's a very important tool for any translator. We really need to have our terminology somewhere so we can have easy access to it and have access to terms that we need for our job without having to search for them every single time. I think for most translators, or for a huge amount of translators, that is automatically built with their CAT tools, either whatever tool you use, Tradus or WordFast, whatever software you use for CAT tool. Usually those will build your glossary automatically, so much so that when you insert another file into your Word, into your CAT tool, that CAT tool will go and browse through your glossary and will browse through all the terms that you have inserted before and will suggest translations for terms that are similar to other terms that you have used before. But that is in the case of you using a CAT tool. Some translators don't use a CAT tool. I don't use a CAT tool. And in that case, I think it is very important that we have our own glossaries. I have my own glossary that I have built with using Access. I have explained this, and I also have my course creating your own tools, where I can explain exactly how you can easily build your own glossaries using Access. If you build it in Access, then you can the glossaries itself would be given by Access reports, and what you do is every single glossary, or I would say, and I will, and that's how I call it in my course, sub glossaries will be for each subject, either medical terms or legal terminology, whatever subjects you want to choose, and then you can actually specify the type of terminology and create a sub-glossary that when you want, and if you want to print it out, you can print out that report, and that report will give you all that glossary of that particular terminology. This is when you have access to Microsoft Access, which is one of the components of Microsoft Office, as you know. However, I came across with something that I honestly wasn't aware of. That is, for example, if you are using a MacBook or a Mac product, you won't be able to have Access, have search, and I found that Access is not included with the Microsoft Office for Mac, which in my understanding and in my view, it's a very serious mistake. I think it's silly, because this is a very useful tool. Yes, it's not widely used by a lot of people, but it can be really used. And I use Access for a lot of things. I remember before I came to Australia, I even built up a database of all the cassettes, the VHS cassettes that I had with a collection of documentaries on the Roman Empire and things like that. It is useful. It may be silly, but it is useful, because then you know exactly what you have. You can look for it, and you can build a database of basically anything you want, books in your library, whatever it might be. It's there, it's organized, and you can have easy access to it. In the particular case of being a translator, it's massively useful for this. We can create our glossaries very, very easily. You can create, and you will see if you do my course, creating your own tools, you'll see you can basically build that database in 1 hour. And this is, and I'm being generous here, because it's really simple. You don't need to put a lot of fields in it. 3 fields is enough, and you will build the bases, the database, and then you just create the reports for as many subjects as you want. Obviously, if you don't deal with as many subjects, it's even simpler, because you create less reports. It's really simple. I've done that for myself. However, now I came across with this issue. Not everyone can use Access, which unfortunately is something that I find really silly, because I think people who use Apple devices should be able to enjoy something as simple as this, as creating a simple database using Accesses. And if Microsoft provides all the other applications from Office, most of the other applications from Office, I think Access wouldn't be a massive issue for them to provide it as well. But obviously, I'm not making decisions for big multinationals, so I can only give my own personal opinion. So if you have a Mac, well, it's not the end of the world. Yes, you won't be able to build your glossary using Microsoft Access. I don't know if there is within Apple devices any application that allows you to build databases. I'm not sure. I do not use Apple products, so therefore I honestly don't have much information in regards to this. But if you do, and if you do, please leave me the comment below. It would be really useful to know if there is an option for Mac users, because at this stage I know of one person, at least one of my mentees, that would benefit of it massively. So in that case, and if you don't have any other application that you can install on a MacBook to build your own glossaries digitally, you also have, or you obviously have to do it manually. And also using Office, but the applications that Office provides to Mac products, you can use, for example, Microsoft Word. That's the one I used for a lot of things. So what you can do, you build a table. Of course, it's going to be a bit more time consuming, and in terms of the result, is not going to give you that result that Access, for example, would give you with the reports, and you can separate things. If you want that separation, then you have to build multiple documents. It's a little different, it's a little bit more time consuming, but if you really don't have the option of building this database, this is the only way I can think of you building a good glossary for yourself. You can just build a table in Microsoft Word. You put the letter A, B, whatever, and then you just insert. You put the term, you put the meaning, and then one of the things that I can recommend is If you are dealing with languages that have variants, which most probably you do, I would suggest that you consider those variants. So when you put the term, for example, in English, and then you put the meaning, I'm going to use my language pair, you put Portuguese and then Portuguese from Brazil. So you can compare both, and you would have both terminologies, and you would be able to see the difference. In my database, I don't have the terminology in Brazilian Portuguese because obviously this is one of the benefits that doing it manually gives you. You can do that, but obviously even in your database you can do that as well, because you can put the terminology, for example, again in Portuguese, and then put that and between brackets you just put BR, and you know it would be for Brazil. So there's always a way of going around things and creating things the way we want. This was just a suggestion. If you really want to give to have this comparison and have these two variants, that's another way of doing things. So this is a little bit more time consuming, and if you have more than one subject that you would like to separate, it would be a little bit more work for you, because instead of just go to a form and insert the term there, and then the database or the program, the software will separate them and will present it to you the way you want it, you have to do all that yourself, and therefore you have to choose one file, let's say for legal terminology, the other file for medical terminology, the other file for general terms or general translation. You know, you have to create several topics, several documents for each one of those sub-glossaries that you would create if you had a database. However, it is possible. I wanted to do this video about this because I would like to tell you, and I'm doing this with my mentee, I would like to tell you that this is possible if you cannot have access to access, and no pun intended, from Microsoft, you still can do your glossaries manually. Yeah, a little bit more time consuming, but it is still possible, and you can still do a very good job, and in reality obtain a very similar, if not the same outcome. Just the time that you will take to build this glossary and the time to produce it will be slightly more, because with a database, with an application, you just have the form where you insert the data, and then the glossary itself will be presented by the database, because the database will have the right parameters that you insert on it and would present it to you the way you want, with the terminology that just belongs to a certain category of words. However, if you do it manually, obviously that won't be possible, because the software won't be dealing or processing any sort of data. Word does not do that, so you would have to do that processing yourself, and that separation needs to be done by creating different files. But it is possible if you don't have any other option. This is my intake on this. I decided to do this video about it because I came across to this issue. I was not aware, since I knew that Microsoft Office was available for people who have Apple products, but I just realized that Access is not one of them. It's not included in the pack, and I looked at the official Microsoft Office website, and it's not. They have another application called Microsoft Forms, but Microsoft Forms do not substitute Access, because it is just to create simple things like surveys and things like that. So it is like a question answer kind of thing, not exactly what we needed, because we needed a proper database where we can have queries, where we can have reports, etc., etc., because all those reports will be done based on specific queries, and we will need to create all those queries, which I gathered is not possible with that application Microsoft Forms. So if you have an Apple device, it's not the end of the world. You still can build your glossaries. You just have to build them manually, and there's benefits in both. There's benefits in both. Either, for example, with the database, everything will be a little bit more together, but if you build it manually, you can do actually that separation of, for example, variants, and you can actually compare both because they would be separated. But in both cases, you can build a very, very, very good glossary that is useful, and you can have it open when you're working in a certain project, and you can refer to and go and it will save you a lot of time in research, because if you already have research for a certain word, you already have inserted it in your glossary, then it's there. You just don't need to spend the exact same time to do it all over again every single time it comes up in a project. So this was my suggestion today, because I thought it was very important to bring this, since I realized that obviously for Apple users, this is a little bit of an issue. So let's talk about this and let's come up with a solution. I hope you like my solution. That's all for today. I hope you like this video today. Obviously, it was very simple, and I'm sure a lot of you would say, well, this is really not much news in it. I know it isn't. I know a lot of, obviously, a lot of translators know about this, but I just decided to tell this because obviously I have a course about building your own glossary, and in that course is the database that I teach, because that's what I use, that's what I've done, and now I came across this problem that if you have a MacBook, you won't be able to do it because you won't have access, and in my view, that is something that I'm really I really think is upsetting. I know that there are a few applications, database applications online for free, but again, I am not sure that or if they work on a Apple device, because a lot of things are created and a lot of applications may not work with Apple devices. That's the issue of Apple devices, is that they're very restrictive. You either buy the Apple products or you are extremely restricted. You have Microsoft Office provided this, but again, it was silly that access was left out, even though it is undoubtedly one of the less used applications for most people. I don't see everyone creating databases every day or using Microsoft Access massively. However, it is a very, very useful application, and sometimes for very simple things. And in my courses is one of those examples. I create my management system with Microsoft Access. I've got everything in there, my clients, my jobs, my expenses, my income. I've got there in that database. I created my own management system. I've got everything there that I can use. And again, using the reports, I can have my annual income, my annual expenses, my jobs, even the word count for my projects, because today Nati has a portal where we just insert the project and put the words, and it's their system that does that calculation. But when I was first accredited by NATI, today its certification, the accreditation system is no longer valid, but when I started with NATI, I was an accredited translator, and back then we had to do everything manually. Back in the day, I was using Excel, because Excel also allows you to do that calculation with forms. So, and obviously when I created my database, I obviously created that function so I could do that calculation as well, and you know, match whatever I was seeing in my Excel file and whatever the database was showing me, to make sure I was putting everything correct and nothing was left behind. So simple things like this can be easily solved with Access, and it's a pity that sometimes you can't because of this issue with Apple, Microsoft, Apple. So, you know, I've got my courses. This video is an example of that. I've got my courses. In my school, Updated Words Teachable, Teachable. You can go and access my 3 courses. Soon I'll have more surprises for you. And in these 3 courses, you can have choosing the right qualification in translation, which give you a little bit of insight how you can what path can you follow to become a translator. Either you choose to go on a university course, or harvesting existing skill and then getting qualifications, language qualifications as a translator. There's all these different paths, and I created a course where you learn about all of this and all the specificities of the job. There's also the business course for translators, where you learn how to do your financial plan, your business plan, your marketing plan, and get everything ready to start a business, because I strongly believe that we should see ourselves as entrepreneurs, and we should not see ourselves, we should walk away from that freelance idea, because unfortunately that idea only brings us down, and as soon as you put the freelance word on it, chances are you're going to be devalued and seen as an unqualified professional. It's wrong, I know it is, it's not fair, but unfortunately that's what happens, and we need to walk away from it. Also you have this one, the third one that I launched in January this year, that talks about the tools. In the business course, I roughly talk about building your own tools. I roughly explain how you do it, but then I created this course that is just for this. And for example, if you already have your management system, if you have everything else, your business plan and everything, but you are just curious about how could you build your tools by yourself, this would be a very good option for you when you can just buy the course itself. You can also combine my courses and in plans, and you have the pro plan where you have the qualifications and business course together. You have the full business plan where you combine the business course and the tools course with 5 mentoring sessions with me. And for the full membership course, you'll get the 3 courses and 15 mentoring sessions with me. So visit my page at Updated Words Learning at Teachable, and you will have all of that at your disposal. So come with me, and I'll be ready to help you in this journey. And you know, put a like on the video and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell, so you get a notification of a new insider every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.